Yo, I'm AyoChikiMoko, welcome back to another Apex Legends video, where today I'm breaking down the old Volt SMG from Titanfall to the new Volt SMG in Apex, down to the millisecond to see whether or not the Volt was buffed or nerfed or somewhere in between. And then at the end of the video, I'll give my opinion on which of the two versions I enjoyed playing with more. But with that, I am AyoChikiMoko, and this is your first time on the channel. I want to say welcome, and hope you come back again, because on my channel I break down every weapon and legend down to the millisecond, so I can help you on your journey becoming the baddest legend to walk the Outlands. But you already know how to do that, so let's get into the video. So with this video, I'm going to be doing things a little bit different due to the fact that in Titanfall, I came across quite a few different issues when trying to perform the testing I usually do for Apex. Because in Titanfall, it doesn't have a firing range like Apex, and nor does it have hit markers that will tell you the numbers of the damage that you're dealing to your enemy. And then when I tried to do research on the Vault in Titanfall online, it also seemed as though no one was accurately able to figure out the DPS or anything along those lines. I did find one website, however, that gave me a damage of 38, and to me that made sense, but it also didn't make sense at the same time. So bottom line, I wasn't willing just to take 38 and give it to you guys, my viewers, and feel as though I did my job, so I went deeper. What I wanted is to have the Volt's time to kill, its DPS, and its shots to kill for you guys. And unfortunately, I couldn't get any of those stats due to the fact that I couldn't find anyone willing just to let me kill them at point blank range. And I needed to kill them at point blank range in order to ensure that there was no other factors playing into killing the enemy. But if I did it just once, I would have the footage that I needed to get most of the stats that I wanted to get. So the next best thing to killing pilots was killing the bots. In Titanfall 2, there's a game mode called Attrition, and there's two bots in this game mode. First, there are the grunt soldiers, which are these guys right here, and they mean well, but they always get the short end of the stick due to the fact that they always get wiped out so fast because they only have 100 health. And then there are the specters, these guys right here, and actually right here in the season 5 trailer for Ayooo underneath King's Canyon. But in Titanfall, these guys are a bit more difficult to kill, because from a little digging around online, I found out they have the equivalent health of a pilot at 200 health. So these specters were my target, and once I killed one at point blank range, I would have most of the footage that I would need in order to determine the stats that I put in front of you guys today. However, it was not as easy as I originally thought. I thought, well, I'll just jump into a game and kill one at point blank range and that would be the end of it. Well, that proved to be difficult, because actually finding a specter that was by himself and that had just spawned was very difficult, and I needed it to be just when they spawned, so I knew that they were at full health and there weren't any outside factors playing into killing the bot. However, after a couple games and some great footage, I finally got the opportunity. So right here is the specter that I chose to be the one that I did my testing on, and this is where I'm going to be starting my gun breakdown on the Vault in Titanfall. So let's start with the damage. So what we see right here is that I start with 33 shots, and after I finish killing the bot, I have 28 shots left. So this means I shot 5 shots. So now I just do 200 divided by 5, which gives me a damage of 40 per shot, right? Well, not exactly, because the bots in Titanfall, after they get killed, they fall to the ground with 10 health left, which requires you to shoot the bot one more extra time to finish the kill, as we see right here. I then shoot another shot, which gives me another hit marker, signaling the finishing of the kill. So why does this matter? This matters because it means that I shot 5 shots down the bot, so I really dealt 190 damage in 5 shots. So we just substitute out 200 for 190, so 190 divided by 5 gives me a damage of 38 per shot. So it looks like the damage of 38 that website gave me was actually accurate. However, I'm glad I did double check and I was able to explain that to you guys, so you guys aren't thinking I'm just pulling this number out of nowhere. Unfortunately, I couldn't gather any information just like anybody else, so I don't have the damage to the legs, nor do I have the shots to the head. But with the information that I do have, I can calculate the DPS. So in order to find the DPS, I need the fire rate, and then I need the damage per shot. And I have the damage, so in order to find the fire rate, we're gonna have to do some more math. So I first take into account the amount of bullets inside a clip, and then I divide that number by the BMS, which is our burn through mag speed, which is from my footage I found to be 3.20 seconds. So we can divide 33 by 3.2 and we get a fire rate of 10 shots per second. And then I just do the fire rate of 10 times the amount of damage, 38, and we get a DPS of 380. So for our starting stats, we're going to look at the damage of 38 to the body, BMS of 3.20, and a fire rate of 10 shots per second. Taking these all into consideration, we have a DPS of 380. Then taking a look at our shots to kill, we see for 100 damage it takes you 3 shots. shots, and then for 200 it will take you 6. Compared to the Volt in Apex, we see we have a damage of 16 to the body, we have a BMS of 1.5 with a fire rate of 13 shots per second. Taking all these into consideration, we have a DPS of 208. And then for 100 damage we see it will take you 7 shots, and then for 200 damage we see it will take 13 shots. Then taking a look at our time to kill, we see for 100 damage you will have a time of 0.21 seconds, and then for 200 damage we see it will take you 0.51 seconds. Then taking a look at our Volt from Apex, we see that for 100 damage it will take you 0.55 seconds, and then for 200 damage it will take you a total time of 1.04 seconds, which is quite a big change, but we have to take into account that the Volt from Titanfall has to be adapted for the Apex time to kill. And now we're going to take a look at the handling stats for the Volt. First looking at the base stats, and then we'll look at the attachment slot speed while comparing both the Titanfall Volt to the Apex Legends Volt. So let's first take a look at our draw times. We get a draw time of 0.45 seconds for our unequipped time, and then for our equipped time we get a base time of 0.2 seconds. And then for our base Volt in Apex we have a base speed of 0.45 seconds, and then for our equipped time we have a time of 0.40 seconds. And then for our reload time we get a time of 1.8 seconds for our Titanfall Volt, and then for our tactical reload we get a time of 1.35 seconds. Compared to the Apex Legends Volt, where we get a reload time of 2.28 seconds for an empty clip, and then for a tactical reload we get a time of 1.56 seconds. And that is a huge difference from Titanfall to Apex. And in Titanfall, the Volt actually has the fastest reload out of all the primary weapons, especially with its attachment that we'll see coming up here soon. But then when we look at the Apex Volt, it does have a relatively average reload speed. But for our final base handling stats, we see for our aim down sight time, we get a time of 0.18 seconds, and then for Apex we actually see it's the same of 1.8 seconds. And now we're going to take a look at the attachments for the Volt in Titanfall, and then we'll compare it to the best attachments you can be placed onto the Volt in Apex to see how they stack up against one another. So for our Titanfall Volt, we see we have a time of 0.2 seconds for our unequipped time, and then for our equipped time we have a very fast time of 0.12 seconds. Compared to the Apex Volt, where we see we have a time of 0.32 seconds for our unequipped time and our equipped time. So within Titanfall, the stats for the Volt are pretty fast, but are average for the submachine gun category. However, in the case for the Apex Volt, the draw times are actually quite slow compared to the other submachine guns. And then for our reload times for the Volt in Titanfall, we have a time of 1.28 seconds for an empty clip. And then for our tactical reload, we see we get a time of 0.9 seconds, which is lightning fast compared to our Apex reload time of 2.02 seconds. And then for our empty clip, we see we get a tactical reload time of 1.40 seconds. And unlike the Titanfall Volt, the Apex version is a tad faster than the average tactical reload, but other than that, the Volt is pretty average for its final stats. Then we see for our aim down sight time, we get a time of 0.8 seconds for the Titanfall Volt, and then for our Apex Volt, we get a time of 0.12 seconds for our aim down sight time. And with that stat, we've covered all the stats for the Volt in both Titanfall and Apex. But now we're going to take a look at the recoil, because we see for both our sights and our recoil patterns, we have two very different guns. Because for the Titanfall version of the Volt, I personally enjoy these sights a lot more than the Apex ones. However, in the case of the recoil, I enjoy the Apex version a lot more. However, I'd rather have the Apex Legends recoil than the Titanfall sights. Because from the recoil in Titanfall, from my testing, there doesn't really seem to be a real consistency other than the recoil just not having that much horizontal recoil than other weapons. But in the case for the Apex Legends Volt, we have a clear pattern in which we can copy, in which we can have precision recoil control. And speaking of precision, the last thing I have to mention about the Titanfall Volt is that it's a hit scan weapon, kind of like the Havoc in a single shot mode, or like the charge rifle, which means wherever your crosshairs are pointing when you fire, it will land right there and then. There is no bullet travel speed. However, in Apex, though the bullet speed is very fast, it is not a hit scan weapon. But with that, we've compared both the Apex Legends Volt to the Titanfall Volt, and if you guys have any further questions, be sure to leave them down in the comments below, and I'll be sure to get to every single comment and reply to you guys. But with that, I hope you've enjoyed the video. Be sure to check out my other breakdowns, such as my gun breakdown on the Volt up in the top right hand corner where my dope little assistant is pointing now. Oh, and be sure to be a true legend and click that subscription button down below and ring that notification bell so I can keep you up to date about everything Apex Legends related. But with that, be sure to be the best you can be, and I'll see you in the next one.
Only 2 enemies. This one's free. Remember that.